Good morning, good morning. How are you doing this morning? Very glad that you're here with me today. Or should I say, good morning, Grovetown. Good morning, Columbia County. And good morning, YouTube. Okay? Hope that you're having a great day. Today is Thursday. Outside, the weather's pretty good. It'll be a good day to go out and see some birds. And that's our class for today is we're doing our birding 101 bird watching class. So I'm very glad that you're here with me today. Now, of course, we do our classes live, and of course, you're viewing the class live right now, but do realize that it will be able to be watched later, so please share with friends and family and everything. Let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Alex Cooper. I teach the computer classes for the Columbia County Libraries. I teach for the Columbia County Library in Evans. I teach for the Grovetown Library, and I also teach for the Harlem Library too. So very glad that you're here with me today. So I'll also talk about some of our other classes too. So as we start off here, just realize go ahead and post some questions in the chat that you may have. We are on YouTube now, so you do need to be logged into YouTube to be able to post any of those questions. Of course, to give our videos a like and to subscribe to our videos too. Okay? And the big question I always ask is, how can I help? Okay? How can I help? What questions do you have? There you go, post it in the chat. The best way to come and interact is basically ask questions when we're doing it live, because I can answer any questions you have. Let's talk about some of the classes we did this week. So this week we did Google School on Tuesday. Of course, that video is still up and available. Hold on, where's the mouse? There you are. And on yesterday, we did on the Harlem Facebook page, and of course, all these videos are located also on our YouTube channel. We did the Video Creating Basics Club, Video Creating Basics class. We talked about Microsoft Windows 10 Photos app and doing some basic video editing. That's right, Movie Maker is back, okay? And also yesterday we did the Google Suite 101, and all these videos are still up, available on our YouTube channel. So this morning we're going to be doing Birding 101. Yay! It's a fun class. And then we're going to be doing internet buying and selling using eBay and Facebook Marketplace this afternoon, okay? Here's the schedule of all our classes for the month. Next week, we're going to be starting kind of our beginner skills class, I guess I'd say, with Windows 10 and Flash Drive Basics. We'll also be doing internet and browser basics and talk about browser add-ons as well. Google search and internet safety basics. And on Wednesday mornings, we're going to be doing the internet shopping and digital couponing. And then on Thursday morning, we're going to be doing introduction to Raspberry Pi computing and project ideas. We're going to be working on a new project, so definitely check in for that. And at the end of the month, we're going to be doing our gadget help morning and afternoon. So I'll be live, kind of a drop-in. If you have any questions about technical gadgets and need some help, having problems with something, I'll be here. Okay? Just a little side note, our libraries are open with limited services and hours. Curbside holds pickup is available. You can go to gchrl.org for details. Of course, you can call into the library with questions Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Please don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also like our videos too. And if you're searching for our YouTube channel, which we're on right now, just search YouTube for GCHRL videos and you'll find us. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll come back. Yay, I'm back. All right, so one thing that we're going to be covering today is birding. So I'll go ahead and say welcome everyone. Welcome to class. And I will actually post the handout. So it's kind of usually what we do with this class is we're kind of indoors for the first hour or so, and then we go outdoors. And when we do that, we'd actually, so half the class is inside, the other half of the class would actually be outside, okay? And also we have, because today is a birding class, so we actually have the American Bald Eagle is here today with us. Yes, this is a wonderful class. I'm very glad that you're here today. And I'm here to make sure that it is up and fun and everything's exciting, okay? Have a great day. Okay, well, good. I'm glad the American Bald Eagle is here to discuss that with us because it is very important. Okay, so I'll go ahead and ask this. Have you ever been birding before? Okay. So hopefully you have. One of the things is we're going to cover the important part is that maybe you've gone out, maybe you've just seen birds out and about, wanted to identify them, wanted to see birds in the backyard, okay, wanted to maybe identify them a little bit too. So that's basically what we're doing today, okay. And all right, so let's go ahead and let's get started. And definitely feel free to ask any questions if you will. We'll also be talking about the Audubon app. And I have my handout. I have to grab my birding handout from over there so I can kind of show it to everybody too. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and let's get started. I will disappear so I'm not blocking the screen. So let's talk about how to start birding, okay, or bird watching. 47 million birders in the U.S. No better time than the present to start taking the plunge, or at least dip your toe in, okay? Recommended gear is binoculars, aka bins. Do you have your bins? Of course, having a field guide. And I have set my birding field guide down somewhere. Anyway, I'll talk about it. So there are also small ones that you can get. Some of the state parks will sell them. They're already laminated and everything. So if you don't want to have a ginormous, book carry with you, you can do that. Also, there's birding apps too. And the one I'll be talking about today is the Audubon app, okay? It's a free app to download and use. And good thing about the birding books, you can actually get ones that are for your area as well. And maybe even a waterproof notebook. And also another plus is if you're going to use the apps in general, because you'll have, you'll be using your phone more, your screen time and all that. It's a good idea to take an extra battery with you as well. Okay? Whoop. Not that. All right, let's talk about how to identify birds. So the first part about this is kind of us going out and about. And because we can't go out and about outside, we're actually going to be doing kind of a virtual bird, seeing birds, learning about birds, hearing the birds chirping, and also some videos I recorded and some local news. The WJBF News has posted some videos that are really fun about local things about birds here in Augusta as well. So here we go. Can every bird be identified? No, not even by experts. Okay, and I'll kind of push that a little bit further. You may already kind of have a good idea what the bird is. What is the most important when watching birds? Okay, what's the most important thing? We need to look at the actual bird. Okay. There's plenty of time later to consult the field guide, get a good visual idea of what the bird is in your mind. That's what's really important to do. So later when you look at your book, and you look at your app, when you're kind of describing the bird to someone else, do you realize that look at the bird, stare at the bird, and I know it's really, really hard. It's like you see a bird, and then you look up, and you start looking in your book, start looking in your app or something like that, and immediately you're thinking, oh, I want to find out what that bird is right now. Well, if you need to get a good visual of what the bird is first, okay? So keep an eye on the bird for a little while, and then if the bird flies away, then try to identify what the bird was, okay? All right, so let's continue our how to identify birds. Birds are grouped into main visual categories, okay? Now, a good thing about this is you may already know some of these terms, of course, some of these names, and some of these birds you will clearly know from one group to another, okay? So if we talk about gull-like birds, okay, like seagulls, should know kind of what seagulls are. Hawk-like birds, big bird flying around, okay. Probably perched somewhere, you'll see, looking for prey. Upright perched water birds, okay. Owls. Perching birds, little birds, lie on the bird feeder. Long-legged waddlers, okay. Kind of think about cranes, herons. Tree climbing birds. A big one is it might be a woodpecker, kind of like what we have down there, if they're climbing on the tree, okay. Upright ground birds, duck-like birds, excuse me. Hummingbirds, sandpiper-like birds, something you might see at the beach. Pigeons, and you might actually see a chicken in real life, you never know. Or kind of like a swallow, okay, like a barn swallow. So just kind of knowing that these are the kind of the different categories, we can already start assessing, identifying what the bird is, just because we probably have this general knowledge to begin with, okay? Now, let's talk about observation. What is its shape, okay? Is it plump like a starling? Is it slender like a cuckoo? Cuckoo, cuckoo. What is the bird's size? Now, this is directly from the Audubon app, and I really like that. It breaks it up like this. Judge size against birds you know well, okay? Size is trickier to judge than shape. You never know how far away a bird is or how big that nearby rock or tree limb really is, okay? Fluffed up or hunkered down birds, it's very easy to get fooled about what their size is. Compare your mystery bird to a bird you know well, okay? Is it larger or smaller than a sparrow? Or sparrow. A robin, robin. Or a crow, crow. Narrow it down to two small species such as downy and hairy woodpeckers or sharp-shinned and Cooper's hawks, okay? And also you may want to take a really good peek at its dance moves, because that might be a good way to identify the bird as well, okay? So become familiar with silhouettes. This is really a big one here. For me, trying to identify what the bird is, because later on we'll talk about male and female birds, and their plumage color might be different, okay? So look at the silhouette. How is the bird shaped? It tells what the bird's size is, the proportions, the bird's posture, okay? It quickly rules out many groups of birds. Don't get sidetracked by a bird's bright colors. Finches, for example, can be red, yellow, blue, brown, or green, but they're always shaped like finches. Learn silhouettes and you'll always be close to an ID. So on the right here we have a great heron, a classic silhouette, okay? Long, a spear-like bill, elegant S-shaped neck, and there you go right there. So trying to focus on the silhouette of the bird helps us get closer to the identification, okay? Barn swallows are small, graceful songbirds with very long wings, small heads, and small but wide bills. The barn swallow's tail is long and deeply forked, which we'll talk about the forked tail in a minute. Oh, it's a barn swallow. All right. Observe its size. Okay. Compare an unknown bird with a familiar one's size. A yellow and black finch. If it's smaller than a house sparrow, it probably is an American goldfinch. Okay. Evening grosbeak look similar, but are almost the size of a robin. Okay. So they may look similar. Of course, the American crow is really big. And it's interesting too. Yesterday I saw a few blue jays in my yard, and if you haven't seen blue jays in a while, and you see them up against like cardinals and other birds like chickadees, you don't realize how big they are until you've seen them recently. And I was like, yeah, I remember seeing them, but I'd forgotten how big they are because I haven't seen one in a while. Much bigger, like almost 2 times bigger than like a little chickadee. Little chickadee. Let's talk about their wingspan, okay, or their wings. What shape are their wings? Are they rounded like a quail's? Quail's kind of easy to identify with the little plumage on the top. Okay. Is it sharply pointed like a barn swallow? Kind of with the points here. Point. There's that tail we're going to talk about in just a minute. Okay. Ah! Did you see that one coming? Here comes a big owl. And our wings on our owl, look at them. Let's talk about our different kinds of bills, okay? Dollar bills, y'all. No, our bird bills. What shape is its bill? Okay. Small and fine, like a little warbler. A little warbler. Stout and short, like a seed crackling sparrow. Dagger shaped, like a tern. Hook tipped, like a bird of prey. Okay. So let's look at our bills here. So one big thing is that the bill actually shows what they eat, okay, and what they like to do. So when we look first at our first one here, the American robin, we can kind of look at its beak. It's kind of a little bit pointed, okay. It's a little bit of sharp thing on there, but we have it where it likes worms. It likes to kind of get in there and get some fruits. Here's our little chickadee. Has a tiny little beak. It's trying to get seeds. It's trying to get tiny insects. Maybe this is one of those things of if there's a why would an animal be able to have these features? Well, maybe it allowed it to survive where the other ones weren't surviving because it had a smaller beak and could get to the tiny little insects. Here's our house finch right here. We're going to see him later in some pictures. Seeds and likes caterpillars. Okay. Here's one long-billed dowitch, excuse me, worms from deep mud, so very long bill. Again, learn how to eat where other ones weren't. Let's see, small shrimp in water with this long bill. And here's our heron with their big fish bill too. And kind of think about a pelican. We don't talk about pelican because it's kind of like there's pelican. And because we're not near where pelicans live, we don't really talk about them here in along the Savannah River. But here's our eagle right here, our golden eagle. Mammals and birds, so it's bill, its beak. Here it comes out and it has a point on it. Why is that? Not to get gross, but that's actually to be able to pull meat. Okay. So it has its claws and it can pull meat. One big thing about the eagles or the hawks, Of course, the American eagles. One of the things is you'll actually see people be driving and they'll say, I'll see these really, really big birds and they're really, really high up in the sky. And sometimes when they get closer, they're really big. And are those hawks? It's like, no, those are actually like vultures. So do realize that if you're driving along and you see really, really big birds up in the sky, they're kind of soaring on the wind and they're kind of smelling for something that's not alive anymore that it can eat. Now, they do have their job and they are doing their job and they're really good at their job. Okay? So, yes, they do have a purpose. And here is kind of our duck. Okay? Here's our marine mollusks. Kind of likes eating stuff like that. Okay, so looking at our bill, and this is from one of one of the identification books. I think this might be the National Geographic one. We can actually see the different types of bills. Tells us a little bit more about the bird, and mainly thinking about what they kind of eat. And when we actually look up a description of the birds, we'll actually find out what that is too. So not only will our descriptions talk about, of course, what the bird looks to try to identify the bird, but they'll also talk about what the bird eats too. All right, now don't feel too overwhelmed by this. Okay, most of our books don't go into it this much unless they're talking about a description or being very specific about one type is a little bit different than another type. Okay, so talking about lower crown, eyebrow, lower beak, the nape of the neck, the rump, tail, undertail, leg, thigh, belly, side, wing, breast, throat, lower beak, upper beak. Okay, and then we also have the wing bars and the wing patch. Okay, so just kind of realize that every little part of the bird actually has a name, and if there's a description going into talking about the different parts of the bird, you may actually have to look it up that way. Okay, let's see. Hey, Mac, how are you? Let's see. What is this bird? It was taken in September on the coast. I can't see your picture. So maybe repost the picture. I believe you can post a picture. Or you'll have to do like a share to be able to see it. Or if you could post a website of a bird that's similar, of course, then you might have to identify the bird already. Let's see. I don't see your picture, Mac. Just try posting it again. Okay? Okay, so I'm happy to identify the bird. Just post a picture and then I'm happy to look at it, Mac, okay? All right, so let's talk about observing the tail, okay? What shape is the tail? Is it rounded like a blue jay? Let's look at our rounded here. And again, this part here is actually from our Audubon app, which I'll do a little demonstration of later. We have our rounded tail. Okay. We also have a square tipped. Those are our square tipped. Okay, like a cliff swallow. Oh, okay. Let me see. What's the easiest way to do that? Give me 1 second. thinking here. Let me see if I can post a picture real quick. Oh, I can post like an emoji. Mac, I think you'll have to share it like a cloud post. Like if you have it on Google Photos or something. Because I don't know if YouTube does allow us to just post a picture in the chat. Let's see. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Okay. Let me look at that. Okay, so I can see it on the Facebook page. I would say that's kind of a grackle. It's not really a crow, but its tail is kind of rounded a little bit. It's a big one. And when I play around with the Audubon app, we'll look it up. How about that? Probably a grackle, I think. Okay, so Mac, I'll play around with that when we do the app. But yeah, I like that. That's good. All right, so let's continue talking about our different tails here. And it's notched like a tree swallow. So here's our, where is it? Here's the notch going on right there. Fort like a barn swallow. There's fort. And then pointed like a mourning dove. Okay, so let's look at pointed. There we go. So these are the different categories. So just even by seeing this chart, we can actually start to help identify our birds, thinking about the terminology, the words that they kind of use and stuff. All right, so let's look at our different pictures here and kind of decide what we think they are. So number one, what do we think number one is? Number one is kind of a forked tail, isn't it? Okay. What's number two? Number two. Could be short. Yeah, it could be the very, very small end of that. I would probably say that's a short one. Let's look at number three. So we have this, it kind of looks like that. So I would say that's the notched one. Okay. What about four? Ooh, kind of curved out. I'd say that's the wedge-shaped one like that. About number five. There you go, it's pointed. Okay. So pointed. Here we go right there. Okay, so if we were in the app or if we were in one of the books, that's one way we could start identifying just by trying to guess what the tail shape is. Now, let's talk about movement. Okay. How does it behave? Does it move its tail like a wren? Does it hold it down like a flycatcher? Does it wag? Does it flip? Does it dip? So this can I kind of identify the way the bird moves. Let's see observations. Does it climb trees? Okay. How does it climb? Is it kind of grabbing the tree? Is it hopping? Okay. Does it jerk using its tail as a brace? Okay. Does it go head first? Climbing on a tree. Whoop. Climbing on a tree is a big one right here. Does it grasp the tree and basically is walking on the tree? Well, that could be a way that we could identify it as as a woodpecker or something. Okay. All right. So let's talk about our different types of flight. Okay. I've got a great illustration here at our top. So how does it fly? Okay. Does it swoop up and down? Fly fast and straight? Does it soar? Remember I told you about the vultures being really, really high up in the air and they're soaring a lot because they're just so big. Okay. Does it hover, kind of like a hummingbird? Does it glide? Okay. So does it go up and down and kind of swoop? Does it fly straight? A lot of that can actually tell kind of the size of the bird too, not only just the type. And it soars like an eagle. All right. Does it swim? Okay. Does it stick its little duck butt up in the air? Okay. Sit or high in the water. Do ducks swim underwater? Yes, they do. Some ducks swim underwater to get little leaves or something. Whatever they want to eat in there. Here's one of them just stick their butt up in the air and look down. So if you ever seen, like a duck and you're like, oh, there's a duck. And you looked away and you look back, oh, where'd he go? Well, he might be swimming underwater trying to get some food. Okay. Now here's a big one. Talking about the range. So you'll look in the book and you'll be looking at the bird and you'll be like, well, this is the bird I think it is. Okay. And then you look closely and that's not even in the same area that you are right now. Now, one big benefit that we have with the app is the app does have our GPS location. Okay. So immediately when we're starting to search for a bird, make sure you have that on and everything is on by default. It will actually pop up and only show you birds that are in your GPS location. So it makes it a whole lot easier to identify the birds. So already with our app, we have a big benefit for us. So let's talk about our migration patterns, okay? So migration is when birds withdraws in the winter from the northern areas, with many migrating as far north as South America, rarely straggles far inland, okay? So if we look at our range here, we can actually see the season. So again, this is what will happen with a lot of our books. Okay. Our seasons, depending on what it is, might be where the bird is. So if you were somewhere out of season, that may not be the bird you think it is. Or you may go, wow, why is that? Where's that bird? Well, maybe it's just kind of flying through. It's possible. This is another one why it's kind of important. Wherever your main location is, maybe that your book basically be about that area. Okay, if you get you one that is worldwide, it could get very mysterious unless you were looking at the range map. So let's look at our little animation here about our birds migrating. Going up when it's hot. So right now a lot of our birds are actually up in Canada because it's hot. And then when it gets cold here, what are they doing? They're going to go down to South America and Mexico and the Caribbean. Ooh, they're going to the Caribbean. Ooh, nice. They like to look at crystal clear water too. All right, so I think it's a great animation there. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's play a game. Want to play a game? Here we are. We're going to play a game. Let's talk about, can we spot the difference? Okay. So we have our seagulls here. We have two seagulls. And just realize that, let's talk about everything that we've kind of learned and see if we can spot the difference. So if we were looking in a book, one thing is we don't know the location of the two birds right now, but let's just focus on what we see that's different. Okay, so let's look at the beaks. Our beaks. The beaks look about the same, don't they? They have a little bit of a red there. Okay, and I will tell you this: depending on your screen, it may be a little different. Sometimes we would do this where it would be up on a projector, and then it can kind of wash out the colors a little bit. So do realize that it is possible to do that. So we have our head. It's kind of a white plumage head. We have our wings back here, kind of gray, light charcoal. We have our tip of our tail. Tip of our tail's similar. Okay. Let's see, what might it be? What about the belly? The belly's white as well. Belly's white. So we actually see a lot of same similarities here. Oh, okay. Did you see it? Did you see it? What do you think it is? Did you look at the legs? Okay, it's the legs. This was kind of a little bit kind of yellow legs, and these are kind of a peach color, I guess. So look at the feet. That's our big hint. So this is a western gull. Now we both know it's a seagull, okay? But in this one's a California gull, okay? So even though they're very similar, we got to pick out the real specific things that make them different. All right, so let's pretend we're seeing a bird, okay? We're going to try to name that bird. Now this bird, kind of charcoal, we think it's kind of like a gull bird, right? But the beak is black, and it's kind of speckled head, and its legs are kind of black. Look at this one. This one's kind of brown. So even though it looks kind of like a seagull with the silhouette, it actually has a dark circle around the eye, but now this one's brown. And this one's browner than that one. Let's see. So it's actually kind of like a speckled brown, and now the head's brown and everything, isn't it? Ooh, what about this one? This whole head is kind of like a dark charcoal. The beak's kind of pinkish. Look at the legs. Kind of similar to the other bird we saw. Well, guess what? They're all the same bird. Okay? So don't be fooled. So make sure that your guide has more than one picture of the bird. Okay? One big hint I'll give you too is that basically if you see a bird and they look similar, maybe they have the same silhouette, but let's say the cardinal, the male cardinal is very red and the female cardinal is not. Okay, they look like two different birds if you did not realize that the male and female feathers were different colors. Okay. So if we actually look here, here's the breeding adults. Okay. Juvenile was the brown one. Okay. First winter. Second winter. And there's our adult. So we look back at our other picture. We can see becoming. And there we are finished here with the black head. Okay, So just a reminder, make sure that you look at everything on the bird. The silhouette is a big one on there. See, the silhouette hasn't changed even though the plumage has. Okay. So let's talk about our Audubon app a little bit. The Audubon app. And I'll show you the little video. Give me 1 minute. So if you want to, go ahead and download this. It's free. It used to cost. And again, the big thing about this is since it's on our cell phone, it actually can tell us the location because it knows our GPS, okay? Okay, so go ahead and pull that up. And I have a little video, and I'll kind of talk while it plays. And it's just a screen capture. So this is our Audubon app. If we look here, we'll have our different features. We have identify birds, search the guide, home, explore, sanctuary. So we're looking to identify a bird. First thing it pops up is it actually knows the location and it knows the month. So we actually have two big things going for us. It already knowing our location and it already knows the month it is. Okay, so instead some big steps instead of having to try to guess from like just a book or something. Here's the size, the color, the bird type. Okay, what is the bird doing, habits, voice. Now, one big thing about the voice in general, and I'll play some audio here in a minute, it actually is difficult to tell the difference between the different birds based on the calls. Okay, they're really nice to hear. I really like hearing bird calls, but the only problem is it's kind of hard to use that to identify them. So here we are looking at the bird size, and at the bottom it'll actually show different pictures. Here's a Carolina wren. I have those coming in my yard. Chickadee, house finch, and we can choose by color as well. Talking about a woodpecker. Talk about what type. And I think the bird that we were trying to identify virtually was our house finch. Then we can tap on it. Now here's a big one right here. So the juvenile looks kind of grayish. It doesn't have that red on its head, does it? There's the adult female. Now the bot, look at our silhouette again. Silhouette basically looks the same. And when it flies the hat, we can actually see the wingspan there. So there's our male. So a lot of the time when we actually see maybe two birds together, maybe they don't look perfectly the same. Okay. But it may be because one's female, one's male, one's juvenile. It's possible they like hanging out together when they're a family. Okay. Talks about our description a little bit. Talks about blurry stripes. Okay. Talks about the way it looks, describing it. And of course we have a lot of pictures we can look at. And talks about the songs and calls as well. And there we are talking about its range. Talks about its migration, discussion about the house finch. There's our habits, cities, suburbs, streamside trees and brush and dry country, feeding behavior, forages on ground while perched on weeds or up in the trees and shrubs, except when nesting, usually forages in the flocks. Will come to feeders for seeds, especially sunflower seeds. Hint, 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 hint. We start talking about our backyard birding. And to hummingbird feeders for sugar water. Interesting. Talking about its diet. There's nesting habits. And talking about their eggs. All right. Now, if we went to the actual bird ID, and we can see lots of pictures of the birds. And we actually did search the guide, and we actually knew the name of a bird. The mockingbird. Oh, there's our northern mockingbird. It's very common here in Georgia. And this is a bird that actually messes up our being able to identify other birds because it has such a wide variety of calls. Also talks about our range there. Very common. It's an imitator. And there you go. So that's a little bit of an introduction to our Audubon app. And I'll actually pull up. Ah, I'm back. Hey, how are you? I hope you enjoyed the bird presentation so far. I've quite enjoyed it. I hope you have too. There you go. Good. Thank you, Mr. Bald Eagle. Y'all didn't know that a representative would be here today. Okay, so I'm loading my app. And let's look at our identify bird. And I'm going to go to bird type. Let's see. So we know it's not a duck, not a hummingbird, not a chicken. It's not a gull. Let's see. So if I do perching bird, it already pulls up and says American crow. Let's see. Let's say about the same size as a robin. No, I'm going to go ahead and color it and I'll say it's black. Now, the deal about that is it actually will pop up and show if any of the other birds have some black in them at all, okay? I'm going to do the habits. Talks about its activity. Shows our American crow. I don't believe it's a crow because crows are very large. I believe it was a grackle. And there's kind of our grackle picture there. Okay. Yeah, that's the one you normally hear. Okay. Very good. That is what I think it is, Miss Mac. All right. So I want to go ahead and show you. Let's talk about our mockingbird songs. To get a good feel of what some of the bird calls can be. And the video, some of the videos I'm going to show are just basically videos I found on YouTube, and the title is the same title that it had on YouTube. So this is one called 15 Birds and Bird Songs for Beginners, and I'll play this